Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to kick off this presentation on advanced sentence structure. The title is right here, and we also have a subtitle that highlights what we'll be exploring. Over the next few minutes, we'll look at ways to improve sentence construction, making our writing clearer and more effective. I'll guide you through key concepts and practical tips. Let's get started. Today, I want to talk about different ways we can express actions and events using various forms of the perfect and continuous tenses. First, let's look at how we use the present perfect, which is subject plus have has been plus V3. For example, strict measures have been implemented recently. This shows actions that started in the past and are relevant now. Similarly, several warnings have been ignored by the authorities. It highlights ongoing issues or recent actions that impact the present. Moving on, we have the past continuous form, which is subject plus was being plus V3. For instance, the project was being monitored carefully, meaning that at a specific time in the past, the monitoring was happening, and the issue was being discussed privately, indicating that the discussion was ongoing at that time. Next, there's the past perfect, subject plus had been plus V3. This form gives us a sense of something that was completed before another past event. For example, the evidence had been hidden deliberately, suggesting that the hiding occurred before another event, and the city had been affected severely by the storm, showing the impact was in the past and completed. We also use the future perfect, subject plus will have been plus V3, to talk about actions that will be completed by a certain future time. For example, the construction work will have been completed by next month, giving us a deadline for the project's finish. Beyond specific tenses, we often see expressions like, it is said thought assumed that. These phrases introduce beliefs or assumptions about situations, like, it is believed that the situation has deteriorated rapidly, indicating a common perception. And it is assumed that the company will recover soon, reflecting expectations about future recovery. Lastly, we have the passive reporting of events, with subject plus was reported to have been plus V3. For example, the man was reported to have been attacked unexpectedly, which tells us about an incident that was reported but not necessarily witnessed directly. All these forms help us communicate different shades of time, certainty, and perspective, which are crucial for analyzing situations accurately and clearly in our field. Let's take a closer look at some of these conditional structures. First, we have the third conditional, which uses had plus subject plus V3, and subject plus would have plus V3. For example, if the warning had been taken seriously, the disaster would have been avoided. This shows how past actions or inactions could have changed the outcome. Next, the second type involves were plus subject plus to plus verb. For instance, if the truth were to be revealed, public outrage would increase rapidly. This form is often used to discuss unlikely or hypothetical situations, emphasizing potential future consequences if certain conditions are met. Then we have the phrase, if it had not been for plus noun, which highlights a key factor that prevented a certain event. For example, if it had not been for her resilience, the organization would have collapsed. It underscores the importance of specific elements in shaping outcomes. Moving on, provided that introduces conditions that must be met for something to happen. For instance, provided that strict measures are implemented, the crisis can be controlled. It emphasizes the importance of meeting certain criteria to achieve a desired result. Similarly, unless plus passive structure indicates that without certain actions, the situation will worsen. For example, unless immediate action is taken, the situation will deteriorate further. It's a way of stressing urgency and the need for prompt responses. Finally, even if plus passive structure points out that some issues, even if temporarily resolved, still leave deeper problems unaddressed. For example, even if the problem is resolved temporarily, deeper issues will remain. This reminds us to look beyond quick fixes and address root causes. These advanced conditional structures help us communicate complex ideas about cause and effect, possibility and necessity. They're essential tools for analyzing situations thoroughly and planning effective responses. Let's take a closer look at some common phrasal verbs and their meanings. First up, bring about. This means to cause something to happen. For example, new policies can bring about positive change in the workplace. Next, we have crack down on, which means to strictly control or limit something, often to enforce rules or laws. Then there's filter out, which involves removing unwanted things from a larger group or set, like filtering out irrelevant information. Phase out is about gradually stopping something. This is often used when companies or governments plan to reduce or eliminate a product or policy over time. Moving on, point out means to mention or highlight something, often to draw attention to an important detail. Lastly, rule out is used when you eliminate a possibility or option, usually to narrow down choices or diagnoses. These phrasal verbs are really useful because they help us communicate actions and processes clearly and naturally, especially when discussing change, control, or decision-making, which are common themes in many professional contexts. All right, now let's take a look at some common phrasal verbs that are really useful in everyday English. On this slide, we see a table that groups these verbs with their meanings. First, we have step up, which means to increase efforts or take more initiative. For example, when a team needs to perform better, they might be asked to step up their game. Next is wipe out, which means to destroy completely. This can be used in contexts like natural disasters or even in gaming when something is completely eliminated. Then we have carry out, which means to execute or perform a task or plan. For instance, a scientist might carry out experiments or a manager might carry out a project. Moving on to break out, which means to start suddenly, often used for events like conflicts or fires breaking out unexpectedly. Clamp down on is about restricting forcefully, such as authorities clamping down on illegal activities to maintain order. Finally, build up refers to increasing gradually, like building up your strength or confidence over time. These phrasal verbs are really common and versatile, and understanding them helps you sound more natural and fluent in English. They also connect to our overall theme of expanding your vocabulary and mastering language nuances. As we look at this image, we see a city street that's completely flooded, and rescue teams are actively helping people during heavy rain. This visual really highlights how extreme weather events can have immediate and tangible impacts on our communities. It's a powerful reminder of the importance of preparedness and swift response. When we talk about climate change and its effects, scenes like this emphasize the need for better infrastructure, emergency planning, and community resilience. It connects to our overall theme by illustrating the real-world consequences of environmental changes and why proactive measures are essential for protecting lives and property. As you can see in this image, the city is completely devastated after the severe flooding that occurred overnight. Many residential areas are submerged, and the damage is evident everywhere you look. Despite these dangerous conditions, rescue teams are working tirelessly to carry out emergency operations. It's clear that hundreds of families have already been displaced by this catastrophic weather event. What's also important to note is that authorities had issued warnings beforehand, but unfortunately, many residents seem to have ignored them. If preventive measures had been taken earlier, perhaps this level of destruction could have been avoided. This highlights the crucial need for proactive planning and community awareness in disaster management. Ultimately, this scene underscores the importance of preparedness and swift response in minimizing the impact of such natural disasters. As we look at this slide, I want to highlight how crucial the rapid distribution of food supplies and medical assistance has been in these vulnerable areas. It's really about ensuring those affected get the essentials they need to survive and recover. At the same time, strict safety measures are being implemented to prevent further chaos or accidents. You can see that some roads have been intentionally blocked to filter out unnecessary traffic, which helps keep the area secure and manageable. Additionally, damaged buildings are under close observation because the risk of further collapses remains, and safety is our top priority. Despite all these challenges, I want to emphasize the remarkable determination of the rescue workers. Their courage and relentless efforts are saving countless lives, and their work is truly appreciated. This slide ties into our overall theme of resilience and community strength in the face of adversity, showing how coordinated efforts can make a real difference during crises. Certainly, here's the word-by-word narrative script for slide 9. The storm had initially been described as manageable, but within a few hours, the situation had deteriorated dramatically. By midnight, several parts of the city had already been flooded. Emergency warnings had been broadcast repeatedly throughout the evening. Unfortunately, those warnings must have been underestimated by many citizens. As heavy rain continued relentlessly, electricity supplies were completely wiped out across multiple districts. Panic quickly began to build up among residents trapped inside their homes. Rescue operations were immediately carried out by emergency teams, although progress was slowed due to severe weather conditions. Vulnerable families were being evacuated first because further destruction was considered inevitable. Had stronger preventive systems been developed earlier, the catastrophe could have been minimized significantly. This highlights the importance of proactive planning and investing in better infrastructure before disaster strikes. Meanwhile, disturbing rumors were spreading across social media, and these misleading reports only added to the chaos of the situation. As the situation grew more complicated, the authorities had no choice but to step in and crack down on false information to help maintain public order and prevent further panic. Among the rescue workers was Arav, a young officer who had recently joined the disaster response unit. Despite facing a very dangerous environment, he kept helping stranded families throughout the night, showing incredible dedication and courage. At one point, an old building nearby suddenly collapsed, trapping several people under the debris. Without hesitation, Arav immediately joined the rescue efforts and was able to save multiple victims, demonstrating quick thinking and bravery in a critical moment. Later, Arav admitted that everyone involved felt fear during these events, but he also believed that true courage often emerges when we are pushed into extremely difficult situations. By morning, the storm had finally weakened, and although the damage was extensive, countless lives had been saved thanks to relentless rescue efforts. This disaster served as a powerful reminder that we should never underestimate nature's power. It also highlighted the importance of proper preparation, which can significantly reduce the impact of such catastrophic events. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I really appreciate you being here and engaging with this material. I hope the key points we've discussed today have given you valuable insights and practical ideas to take away. Remember, the main theme throughout this presentation was about the importance of continuous improvement and innovation in our work. By applying these concepts, we can make a meaningful impact and drive positive change. Once again, thank you for your interest and participation. I look forward to seeing how you implement these ideas moving forward.